Okay guys, again welcome to the very interesting lecture of the implementation part of the RAG part. Okay, so till now whatever the things that we have covered, it's basically the theory part. Okay, so now we will be covering mostly the implementation part. So I will be showing you the implementation of both the traditional RAG as well as the enhanced RAG. Okay, and then we will going to show about how to actually like build a streamed chatbot application. Okay, then while making the chatbot application even in like a RAG system, so there are 2-3 functions that you need to know. Okay, because the LangChain old version was depreciated, so the new function has actually replaced, which is actually like you used for runnable chat history, okay, or runnable pass through. So we are going to understand these two function as well. Okay, and other things about the whole nitty gritty of the RAG. Okay, so let me just introduce about this RAG part. So this notebook is basically, I will share this notebook with you so that you could actually able to understand the implementation thing as well. Okay, so now what I'm supposed to do in this part is that first of all I will do all the necessary import. Okay, I will try to use the LangChain because the LangChain has already integrated with so many vector database. The kind of vector database that I am supposed to use today is basically a quadrant. Okay, so quadrant is one of those vector database which is like integrated with the LangChain. If you go to this LangChain, you may see that there are so many other vector database that you can be used by yourself, right? You can actually use by yourself. So if you go to this vector store, then you will see there are so many vector database. Okay, see if you go to this vector store, see, so there is a chroma, okay, then there is a fires, then there is a morcake, okay, there is a pg vector and other so many vector database, right? So it depends like which one you like. So I basically, even in the production, I use the quadrant vector database because that is very easy to set up. Even like the other vector database also very easy to set up. It's totally depend upon you that which is basically suited with your interest. That's it. Okay, now let me just go to this code. Okay, so and then again the LangChain community. So I'm going to import all these packages. Okay, and again, so I will be using the LangChain with the OpenAI. So I will be just using these as a package installer. Okay, and after that what I'm supposed to do is that I am supposed to do, first of all I will also going to use the embedding method. Okay, so even in like in embedding method, if you go to this LangChain, you will find there are so many embedding method. There is something called as closed source embedding, there is open source embedding, even there is a BERT based embedding, even there is a embedding which is like a rule based embedding. Okay, so it depends upon you which embedding model you generally prefer. Okay, so I will be using a very standard embedding model which has been used in a lot of these industries. Okay, so that is why I'm using this OpenAI embedding. Okay, now after like using this OpenAI embedding and installing these kind of libraries, okay, then what we will do is that we are going to import these things. Okay, I will tell you about these things, like why I am importing these part. The first thing is that I will be importing this text loader. Okay, because whenever I'm actually using the RAG system, right, so first of all the client needs to give their document. Okay, and what is present inside the document, all this text which is actually present inside the document. Okay, I am actually talking about the traditional RAG. Okay, so just consider in mind that document itself is only containing the text part. Okay, later I will come up with that if the document is containing the multi-model, which means if the document containing table, some images, some flowchart, some text, okay, then how to basically try to extract it. For now just understand that document is basically containing the text. Okay, then what is this recursive character text splitter? So it is basically used in the chunking method. Okay, so as you know that already in the very first part of RAG is that first of all you need to do the chunking operation. Okay, so recursive character text splitter, what does it do is that suppose if you're actually doing the chunking, okay, and suppose you are actually using a some any of those 5 to 6 chunking strategies. Suppose you are actually using a chunking strategy where you chunk the first part and you chunk the second part, but in order to like relate the first chunk into the second chunk, you need to overlap some piece of first chunk into the some piece of second chunk. Okay, so it is something like this. So this is my first chunk and this is my second chunk. So the second chunk is basically like some part of the second chunk is basically overlapped with the first part, so that the fabrication of the entire text remain consistent. Okay, so that is why I'm just using this recursive character text splitter. Okay, now for vector, so again for vector storage, so I will be using this quadrant vector storage. Okay, and then there is one retrieval. Okay, because in the RAG there is a retrieval part, so this is also from this quadrant. I will be using this retrieval as a retrieval mode. Okay, now again for as usual for chat prompt template, then str output parser, you know about all these things, and then runnable pass through. Okay, these things I am going to import this part. Okay, now what I'm supposed to do is that first of all I need to use my document. Okay, for in order to make the embedding. Okay, before embedding, in order to do the chunking. Okay, so suppose that your client has some kind of a document and client wanted to upload this document. So let me just pick up any one document. Okay, let me just put this .txt. It is containing some kind of a text based data. So let me show you this how what it is containing, right? So it is containing some information related to the camera, okay, the AI camera, all this information related to the AI camera. So this has been like cited by some of the research paper, so I have just taken purposefully for that thing. Okay, so I'm just using the text loader in order to load all these documents. Okay, after that, if I just click into the document, you will see that all this document will be present inside this document object. Okay, now what I will do is that I will going to split the entire document into a chunking. Before that, I need to define the chunk size. Okay, so chunk size I am actually taking 800. Now what does that 800? It means that the first part, right? So if I will be starting it from the very first row of this text, okay, so I will be taking the first 800 character. Okay, this will be first 800 character will be my first chunk, another 800 character will be my second chunk. Okay, okay, so in first chunk and second chunk, what I will do is that I will going to do the intersection operation. It means that in order to do the chunk overlap, I will be using some part of the second chunk dissolved with the first chunk. Okay, so chunk overlap is actually 100. Okay, then what I will do is that I will create different chunk. Okay, so there will be total 65 chunk will be created. Okay, so my chunk has been created. Now what I will do is that for each chunk I need to do the embedding operation. Okay, you know that in order to do the embedding operation, okay, at the very first part I have already told you that one needs to know about the bi-encoder, the BERT based embedding. Okay, so there are two kind of embedding. One is actually the rule based embedding. We saw the limitation that why we always not prefer the rule based embedding. Okay, then we basically shifted to the transformer based embedding model. Okay, so here there are so many other options. Okay, there is some open source embedding model, there is some closed source embedding model. Okay, so I am actually using this OpenAI embedding model. Okay, you can actually use any embedding model by yourself, even like there are so many closed source embedding model will be available. Okay,